Hello everyone, I'm Anusa Maharjan, B5254 from Sydney campus. So today I'm going to give a video presentation of the financial report of PHP Limited, Santos Limited and Fantastic Limited. So regarding to our questions, I will just be going to give a short presentation on the following questions, and the answer will be based on the questions given by our lecturers. So the first question was, why do investor finds income statement and cash flow statement very useful for the company? So basically in any organization, the income statement and the statement of cash flows shows how the business financial transactions are carried out over a given period of time, and either month or a year. The income statement presents profitability of an organization, whereas the statement of cash flow shows the cash inflows and outflows of an organization, such as a summary of cash receipts and cash payments in a specific time. Hence, income statement is prepared on the basis of accounting convention of convertism that also includes the operating and non-operating expense and income, while the cash flow statement is used to determine surplus and deficit cash position of a company during the financial year. So these two statements are very useful for following years, because the income statement is useful to know the profit and loss of the organization. It also evaluates the financial performance of the company. It also shows all the overall trends in earnings and spending of the company, and also earning per share of the company and trends in revenue growth. Whereas cash flow statement is a critical disclosure to companies, investors and creditors, as companies, investors and creditors focus on cash flow operation rather than net income, because they care about the company's ability to pay bills rather than profit earned. So all the past activities of the cash flows from the of the firm for the projections of future cash flows to make the decision for the investment. The changes occurred in the balance sheet is shown. That also helps in analyzing the operating, financing and investing activities. It also makes the investors easy to compare the cash flow statements of other competitors in the market to realize the quality of the earning and aids in right decision making. So the cash generating abilities of the firm's core activities information are also provided in the cash flow statement. So due to these reasons, investors find this both statement very useful for the organizations. Moving toward to the question part P, I will shortly describe about the given questions. So the major sources of cash for each firms were, for the PHP, sale of onshore investment of 15,613 in 2019, and in the year 2018 and 2017 they have received dividend income and interest income. In Santos Limited, the company major cash flows are receipts from customers and drawdown borrowings in 2019 and 2018 fiscal year. In Fantastic Limited, the company major cash flows are receipts from customers, share issue and proceeds from borrowing in 2019 and 2018. So the trends in cash flow from operations in BSP was, the cash flow from continuing operations are substantially negative in 2019. However, it was slightly positive in 2018 and 2017. So for the Santos Limited in 2019, cash flow from continuing operations is slightly negative, whereas it was slightly positive in 2017 and 2018. In Fantastic Limited 2019, cash flow from continuous operation is slightly negative, but it was positive in 2018 and 2017. So the major difference can be seen in BHP between cash flow from operations with the net profit after tax in income statement was due to depreciation and amortization, finance costs, expenses and equity investments impairments. These are non-cash items that affect income statement. So for the question D, Both BHP Limited and Santos Limited's company cash from operations is greater than capital expenditure incurred during respective years, while for the Fantastic Limited, the company has not incurred any capital expenditure for inadequate cash is generated to meet capital expenditures. So for the question E, Fantastic Limited did not pay any dividends, while BHP and Santos has inadequate cash generated as dividend paid are on higher side. For BHP, investment is supported cash flows from for payments and dividends payment. Santos Limited and Fantastic Limited, both company receipts from customers were utilized for the repayment of borrowings and payments to suppliers and employees. The working capital is used for cash payments in all three companies. BSP Limited capital expenditures, royalty payments, depreciation, dividends paid affected cash flow statement. Santos and Fantastic Limited has receipts and payments to customers and suppliers. Oil and gas assets, repayment of borrowings. For the question I, the trend in capital expenditure for BHP Limited, the trend increase in each year was 3,274 in 2017, 5,060 in 2018, and 7,377 in 2019. For Santos Limited Company, it was downward as it was 2,373 in 2018 and 1,033 in 2019. So for the Fantastic, it was downward. It was 298 in 2018 and 151 in 2019. Both BHP Limited and Santos Limited had increased trend in each succeeding year, but there was no payment of dividend for Fantastic Limited. BHP has a continuous repayment in each succeeding year as no new borrowings were raised, while both Santos and Fantastic Limited Company has net increase in repayment borrowings in 2019 and in 2018 net increase in raising borrowings. So BSP has working capital increase in 2019. However, it was decreasing in 2018 and 2017. So for the question 2 and 3, I would like to describe it as the on the basis of evaluation of financial strength of its companies. For the BSP, there was increase in cash flow from operations and was able to cover its dividend expenses and capex. After the borrowings made for dividend payment to meet the inadequate operating cash flow, there was decreased financial risks as the company minimized its financial risks, financial leverage by paying its debt in 2017 and 2018 as there was increase in operating cash flows. In regard to Santos Limited annual report, from the report of 3 years, the company has a very good cash flow from the operation as it was able to increase its investment in long-term assets. However, there was a progress on the financial positions. Company seems to issue new shares and bonds in order to improve the working capital as the firm is financially strong, but the organization size is smaller as compared to BHP and Fantastic Limited. Moving towards to the Fantastic Limited financial strength, all the cash receipts from the sales and credit sales has been decreasing in the 3 years. There was increase in operating expenses and decrease in operating cash flow has indicated negative trend. Due to increase in expenses to meet its working capital, company is required to make borrowings to run its operation cost. While evaluating all this financial strength, I prefer BHP for the lending purposes, as I would choose BHP Limited as the report shows that it had a progressive growth of operating cash flow from continuing years and has been able to cover the capex and the dividend expenses, while there was no any constant financial strength for Santos and Fantastic Limited as they had to make continuous borrowings for their operating cash flows, and the size of the organization is also smaller as BHP has more ability to raise the funds from the investments like long-term debts and more trust from the outsiders of the company as well. And the profit achieved by BHP Limited made the firm independent and strong to cover its interest expense in 3 years. Moreover, in the even there was some fluctuation in its cash flow, company managed to handle it by issuing new long-term debts by the turnover of 7,288 million to maintain the balance, the shortfall of capex and other expenses. The This made the company even able to generate more operating cash flows that was further used to pay its debts. As the company seems to balance its net debt position, I prefer to extend the new interest-bearing debt slowly to BSP Limited rather than Santos and Fantastic, as the BSP market share and investment is larger than both companies. So even in worst case scenarios, BSP will be able to leverage the financial market for the refinancing of the debts and pay them on timely manner. So this was all the video presentation for the to fulfill the requirement of our video presentation tasks. Thank you very much.